Ladies and gentlemen, let us all give a big hand to Angeli Deoli. And also for our second guest, she's a seasoned HR professional with 10 years experiences focusing on training and development, recruitment and performance management. She is dedicated to promoting women diversity in the workplace and fostering inclusive cultures in organizations. A board member of Cisco's Colleague Resource Group, Apex to champion Cisco's commitment to diversity and inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all give a big hand for Mellisa Tan.
Hi everyone. How you all doing? Good? Can you hear me quite all well? Right? Can you hear me? No, loud enough. Is it coming out? Yes. I always say I don't need mic most of the time because I can talk loud enough. I'm a mom of five, so you know what that means. Yeah. Oh, there you go. I just have to be mindful so I don't All right. We're just going to get this all done quickly, because this is just a quick follow-up to what what the other CEOs was discussing. And of course, this is a partner that we're working with that I actually feel understand what diversity and inclusion is and the effort that this company is really putting into what they're doing to ensure that everyone is included. I'm a witness of that. My company knows that, so you know what? They champion inclusion and diversity every way possible. So with that said, welcome Mellisa and Angeli. Welcome. So it's very laid back. If you have any questions, please, you're going to be asking as we go. My name is Tracy. You guys have heard from me before, later yesterday. And we just get started. We're ready? Okay, in addition to the introduction that was given, can you just take a moment to just give more insight into what we do? We start with Angeli.
Sure. Hello, my name is Angeli Deoli. I've been with Sysco for 20 years now, just kind of progressing in my career as I go. I'm sorry, first timer, but I'm a manager of master data management, and I manage 4 teams for Sysco for across Canada. We manage data, we set up all our Sysco codes, we set up our vendors, costing, so kind of all over the place, but it's awesome. We get to interact and collaborate with all departments across the country. And I am a proud woman leader of many women on my team, male as well, but my team is mostly female. Not intentional, it's just how it is, but yeah, on top of that, I was one of the founders for our mental health resource group at Sysco, and I also sat on our Global DEI Council for Sysco as well, so excited to be here.
Alrighty, so give it to Mellisa, who's introducing them in addition to what we have.
All right, hi everybody. I know it's day 2 of the summit, so I hope everyone has enjoyed it so far. I mean, I really enjoyed that panel discussion with the CEO, so again, thank you for Grow, Tracy, and the organization that's been able to do so much work that was put in for the summit. My name is Mellisa, and I am part of the HR team for our Paris region for Sysco. So I've been with Sysco since 2020 when the pandemic happened. It was a little bit different in terms of joining the company because everything was closed or people were laid off, so remote work was definitely new to me, but being with Sysco, I've learned a lot and really grew even further as an HR professional. And I've really enjoyed my time here with Sysco and working with organizations such as Grow has really been instrumental in just learning more about D&I and the impact that we can have as well. So I really look forward to our discussion here.
All right, that's amazing. Can you please put your hands together for this too? So as I said, we're just quickly building on what the other CEO said, and we'll just go straight into the question. So what's challenges? You've heard everything, all the concerns, the questions that the CEO, they all talked about, and I can see, we've been working with you, especially with Mellisa, that you resonated with most of the question that was asked, or what was discussed. Based on that, what challenges have you faced in fostering diversity and inclusion, and what strategies have you implemented to overcome that?
Thank you. So in terms of challenges, I find with D&I, it's not a one-stop shop. There's no kind of one way to do it, and it's always a process that we need to continue to grow and learn. And with Sysco, I really like that they've been able to evolve and really embrace D&I in their company. And we do it in so many ways in terms of our business, the customers that we work with, how we support them. We definitely implement diversity in that as well. But also with our employees, it's very important having that connectedness with our employees. And how do we do that? We have different types of programs that we have. For instance, like Angeli noted, we have what we call colleague resource groups. So it's a great way for our employees to connect in different ways. So we have one, for instance, Apex. This initiative is connecting our Asian colleagues. Catalyst, that was newly created this year for our Black colleagues. So there's a lot of great ways that we can create that inclusion in our workplace, and I find that having this is very important as well. And also the fact that these colleague resource groups are led by our employees, right? So it's not just something that's mandated by a leader that you need to do. It really empowers our workforce to really be part of this process and how they can be part of that. So these colleague resource groups have evolved and have grown over time and just continue that momentum as well. Just to kind of share a few things that we do at Sysco.
I love that. Do you love that? Just put your hands together, just go back. Just to say, additional to what you said, leader programs put in place like that makes employees feel that they are valued and they've been heard. So kudos to implementing that. So this other question is for Angeli. Top 100 companies are decreasing their investments, which you've all heard on the news, in EDI resources. Given economic pressure, what advice will you give to this company, and how have you maintained and fostered an inclusion and diversity culture in Sysco workplace?
Yeah, so unfortunately to hear that, and I heard what the panel said earlier too, and I'm in agreement with them. Like, these are such important conversations, and I think they should be kept that important for companies. I think at Sysco, the cool thing is that these colleague resource groups are colleague-led. Our board consists of colleagues across the country, and so it's not just leadership announcing something, it's us. We're the ones who are putting these together, we're the ones hosting these events. We understand what each other struggles with, and we still continue to have those difficult conversations. So I think it's so important for companies to keep doing that. We do these events via Teams, so the nice thing about that is that there's people always in the chat sharing their own experiences, which speaks to someone else who might be listening in on that or feeling those same feelings, and to know that there's other colleagues across the country feeling this way too, and then reaching out to those people for advice, I think it's huge. So even if there isn't funding for these kind of things, I think it's still important to continue to have those conversations and kind of that open forum for people to be there for each other, because a lot of us are remote and just trying to navigate the remote world, and trying to be there for each other where you can no longer just go give each other a hug in the office. Like, it's been challenging, but I'm glad we're still having those conversations and opportunities to connect on a personal level like that.
All right, Mellisa, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure. And I also want to just add to what Angeline said as well, is it's one thing to implement D&I and, take it up as a check mark, but it's also like, what is that doing in your workplace and what does that impact, right? For instance, I didn't really prepare too much stats, but good thing that I had a conversation with my manager yesterday, but really kind of just understanding for women leaders as well. We want to foster that in our workplace, and even for our Prairies region. 6 of our VPs, for 4 of them, they're actually females. So it's very intentional, and also our president is a female as well, right? But there's still always way to evolve and improve this process, because I do notice that there are gaps as well in terms of visible minorities in our workplace as well, and also in leadership positions. But we're still doing great work, and that's something that we want to continue to evolve. So again, just understanding the impact that you're trying to do, and really that embedding that D&I strategy, and what does that impact to your workplace, right? It's one thing to do it, but what's that impact?
I know that. Just to kind of agree to what Mellisa is saying, and adding to what this question is trying to address. We've tried to reach out to so much companies, and I can tell you that Sysco has been the only company that has stuck with us from the beginning. Even when we meet with a lot of, so it's not just what they're saying, we can really affirm to what they're saying, that they practice what they say. So the other companies, when they listen to what we're looking to do, they say, oh, this is really good. But when it's time to implement it, they are nowhere to be found. But Sysco has been really being intentional, working with us, creating programs. So yes, I want to say thank you for always doing that stuff. Yes. So we're going to be talking about leadership accountability, because it takes someone advocating for us, so it's seeing the importance of what we do, like what we want to do, that we keep pushing this EDI initiative forward. How can CEOs and leaders hold themselves accountable to promoting diversity and inclusion within the organization?
I think leading by example, so it starts from the top, and then I feel like it trickles downwards. And so I'll share my own personal experience. 20 years ago, there was not a lot of female leaders, so I had male leadership, and I mean, they were great, and I always felt supported. My ideas were always heard, but they would be the voice for me on calls. They would be the ones bringing forward what I'm thinking, what I'm suggesting. And it wasn't until I joined the Corporate Canada team and I reported to a female leader, and she was amazing. Like, you'd see her on a call, and I even told her this once, that when she's talking, like, everyone's listening, and everyone is wanting to know, how does she want to move forward with this? And I told her, like, I want to be like you. Like, I want to be on those calls, and I want people to be listening to everything I'm saying, and I want them to know, what does Angeli want to do with this, right? And she said to me, you can be that. So she took it a different route. She wasn't just my voice. She wanted me to be my own voice. And so she started giving me tips and stuff. And she's like, like, you're the subject matter expert here. When you're in a call and you say something like, I think this is how we should do it, she's like, you're adding the word think in there is just taking all confidence away from that. And no one's going to listen to that, right? Because you're not showing you're confident in what you're saying, so why are people going to feel confidence in that? And I started noticing when I was about to say words like think or I don't know, but so I started changing how I was saying it, and now I'm leading those conversations, and I'm the woman on the call that everyone's asking, how do you want to do this? How should we move forward? And I have my team members saying, Angeli, everyone's listening to everything you're saying on that call. They want to know what you're thinking. And I'm like, holy, I just did a whole, around that circle where I was that person, and now I have people on my team looking at me as being that person. So had she not taken that time to develop me and tell me what to change, I would still be that person, giving my thoughts and ideas to my leader who would be speaking for me. So I think as women, we need to make sure we're always lifting each other up, giving each other these tips, and just making each other more confident in ourselves and helping each other find our own voices, right? And so she did that for me, and now I'm doing that for my team, and that's how we're gonna make strong female leaders.
Amazing. We're happy to have water say there. I think the next question is for Mellisa. This is just your expertise. You're attracting talent, you know. What effective strategies do you use to attract and retain diverse talents in today's competitive job market?
Great question. So in terms of our job market, you know, we want to be inclusive in different ways and also intentional in terms of even what our job posting looks like, right? Like, what's the wording that's being used? Is it inclusive? So we do want to make sure that we're intentional. You know, we have internally, or if we need to use external sources to get that education and kind of understand, you know, is our job posting inclusive enough so that, for instance, single mothers, is that going to speak to them and feel like they can actually have that opportunity, right? So, or people with different types of disabilities and barriers. So we are intentional in that in terms of ensuring that opportunities that we post, we're not kind of creating any kind of hindrance or boundaries for people, right? So it's transparent. No, it's going to speak to what the requirements are, what the competencies are, and what the skills are. But we also want to be mindful that, you know, there isn't kind of any boundaries that prevents us from seeing a more diverse talent pool, right? So for instance, especially when it comes to sales leadership positions, I'm noticing I don't see as much females. And why is that, right? Is it our job posting? Is it where we're posting, right? So it's really kind of making that intentional effort of understanding, you know, how are we creating this outreach to our audience and people outside the company so we can understand more about our company and what we do as a company holistically in terms of our business, our initiatives, corporate responsibility, and also D&I initiatives as well.
I like that. Okay. We're just going to move to the next question quickly here. How important is it to listen to employee feedback when shaping the diversity and inclusion strategy? And how do you gather this inputs and take? Actually, you want to say something and we can move into?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Feedback is huge. We do a yearly survey with our colleagues, so we send it out with questions, and it's all oh shoot, I forget what it's called. Basically, we don't know who's giving the answer, right? It's
blinded.
anonymous, thank you. So we send out an anonymous survey, and then we get the results. And when I say we leaders, so I get the result from my own team, but I don't know who's saying what. And then we take those results and see where we're maybe not quite where we need to be. Recent years, we've added DEI questions onto that survey as well, so we're obtaining that information as well as best as we can. My department takes it one step further, so then from that anonymous survey, we build out another anonymous survey just to get a little bit more information on how we can help our team out on what we might be lacking in, because it's such a busy world and sometimes you don't know what can I make a tiny change that's going to change somebody's life drastically, right? So we try to get as much of that as possible. So that's one. If you have anything else?
Yes, please
I just wanted to add to that as well. So it's not just through the annual survey. We always open that up in different ways for enticing feedback, because we won't be able to understand, you know, how can we do something differently? Is there something that is missing? We always want to incorporate that. We do what we call like real talks. I actually just hosted that yesterday. And it just allows the opportunity for our colleagues to be part of discussions that they have a seat at the table. And a seat at the table is something that is very monumental in our company as well, because we want you to feel like you have that voice to be heard. And what are those opportunities in the workplace? So we want to make sure that there's different channels of communication and feedback that's available to everybody.
Perfect, thank you. So the final thoughts here before we get into questioning and move on to the next segment of this, which we apologize, there's been a little bit of change here, so thanks for your patience. As we look to the future, which you all know what this topic and segment is all about. It's all about the future of work, the last perspective with the company CEO. So in this case, we're focusing on Sysco's as a company. So as we look to the future, what commitment can you share about your organization dedication to advancing diversity and inclusion?
Okay, so in terms of Sysco, I mean, there's a lot of great initiative when it comes to D&I. We even have our own director that manages that as well, and especially for reconciliation efforts. We do it in different ways again, in terms of, like right now, we're still November, right? We're November? Okay. So we have what we call a Purpose Month. So every year in November, we actually engage all of our colleagues to really foster engagement with our communities to go out to volunteer. So it happens all throughout the month. You know, our leaders, employees, everybody to take that time to go out to the community, and we find that that's been very helpful in terms of employee engagement. But other D&I initiatives that we have as well is how we foster training and development, because I find that's very important as well when it comes to education and understanding, especially when it comes to diversity, let's say for women leaders as well. We have different programs internally here that help foster, you know, future female leaders. So we had associations with another program called TILT that looks at how to create more presence for women in operations, which tend to be male dominated as well. So I would say there's a lot of great initiatives, and again, even sustainability as well in our businesses and our customers. We actually just finished our new building in Calgary for Sysco. So there's a lot of great initiatives, and I just really love that this company holistically embodies and actually shows the efforts of what they're doing. And even today, what we're doing with Grow, I'm able to show that and create that impact as well with our organization.
What about financial next as well? Just to add to that, as we look forward to the future, what commitment can you share about Sysco dedication to advancing diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, I would just say the company just needs to continue to have the conversations, continue to have the education, and just continue to help have women's voices heard. And it's just great seeing that it's happening, but we just gotta keep going and keep having it happen.
So we're just going to quickly open it up for 1 or 2 questions. If you have a question, please raise up your hands. We will quickly get that done. Okay.
Thank you both for sharing your experiences with Sysco. I think my question is for Angeli around you sharing your experience as a woman in leadership and some of the barriers that you see having men speaking on your behalf or taking your ideas as their own. Now that you are in a leadership role, how do you bring men as allies to stop happening that happens to somebody else, to some of those emergent leaders? So kind of like, what are your conversations with your colleagues and with your male colleagues, particularly around becoming allies and supporting the leadership?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I've actually had to have some of those conversations. Unfortunately, and also good that I have that comfort level to have those conversations. I think being with the company for this long, I've built those relationships and I get to collaborate with a lot of different departments, so I'm starting to get to know a lot of people, but I don't do it on the big call. I will just set up a one-on-one discussion, and I have no hold back on sharing my thoughts and feelings. And if I feel like I have to yell a little bit louder to be heard on these meetings, then I do reach out to that colleague and just say, hey, listen, my ideas count and matter as well, and I'm having a hard time having my voice heard. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention because some of my male colleagues, as amazing as they are, their voices are very loud on these calls, and people just immediately look to them for the answers, right? And I just feel like I've gotten to that point now where I'm so confident in what I'm speaking on that I'm like, you have to listen to me too, right? So I have no hold back on just having that one-on-one conversation. And to be honest, it makes a world of a difference because sometimes they just don't realize that they're doing that. And I feel like it makes them more aware, and they watch themselves, and So that helps. It also helps having that Teams, the virtual hand raising tool now. So that's helped a lot too, because sometimes it's really hard to interrupt people. My leader, she's a woman leader too, so I find she can tell as well if someone on the team needs to be heard. And I'm kind of trying to do that now with my colleagues that they join me on these projects, and I'm just like, if you don't feel comfortable speaking, just message me and I can help bring you into the conversation, right? Because sometimes they're very shy at even raising their hands, and I totally get it because I was there once, but I would just say, don't hold back from just having those one-on-one conversations and just saying, listen, this is happening, you might not be aware, what can we do to change it for moving forward?
Thank you so much, Angeli. Any question? One last question for Angeli and Mellisa. Can you raise your hand if you have question? Additional question? All right. Okay.